when it comes to Word documents, they generally are going to be accessible to someone using a screen reader just by the nature of a Word document, usually something you typed the content into. So just because of that, the content is generally at least readable, even if you haven't added any sort of accessibility markup. It is possible to improve the accessibility of a Word document, but it is a lot harder to actually break the accessibility of a Word document. Now, if you added a bunch of pictures to it and a bunch of other formatting that is very visual, potentially it might break. But just general text-based Word documents, they're going to be pretty accessible by nature. So on the screen here, we have a Word document before any accessibility markup's been added. And as you'll notice as we go through this, there are going to be some very minor accessibility issues, but the content's still going to be pretty readable. So at the top, we have
Biology Essay Assignment, The Interconnectedness of Life.
So that should probably be a heading, but it's just plain text. So now we're going to start going down through the document.
This essay assignment aims to deepen your understanding of a fundamental concept in biology, the interconnectedness of living organisms and their environments. Link start https://education.nationalgeographic.org/resource/ecology/link end for more info. Bye.
So you notice there was a link there. There's no, we just see the raw URL. We don't see any sort of link text for that link. So we'll keep going.
Researching and synthesizing information on a specific biological interaction, you will develop your critical thinking, research, and scientific writing skills. You will choose one of the following topics to explore in a well-researched and clearly written essay: symbiotic relationships, investigate a specific example of symbiosis, mutualism, commensalism, or parasitism, between two different species, food webs.
So notice that here we have a list of possible essay topics. These should normally be in some sort of list, but notice that as we've arrowed down through here, one sort of flows into another, so that this looks like one long paragraph, which makes it a little more difficult to parse, but you can still sort of read what's happening here.
An energy flow. Analyze a specific food web within a particular ecosystem. E.G. A forest, a coral reef, a grassland. 4x4, table entered row 1 column 1 criteria.
And then we have the criteria rubric here in a table. By the nature of making it a table, the screen reader is going to pick up on the different cells. It might not pick up on, say, the column headers, row headers, but otherwise it's going to be picking up on the actual table. And I'll arrow through this really quickly.
Row 2 content, row 3 organization, row 4 research.
So you hear it's telling us the different rows, so it is recognizing the table. So that's going to be pretty similar. So overall, there are a couple of minor things. There's missing headings in this document. There's no link text for the links. We just see the raw URL, and then the list that should probably be a list with each item on its own line just shows up as text that's all kind of mushed together into one long paragraph. But still, if you receive this in class, you probably could parse it and read it, even if it wasn't fully accessible. But it could be better. So we're going to look at it after accessibility markup has been added to the document here.
Access heading 1 biology essay, the interconnectedness of life.
Immediately, we have a heading 1 for biology essay, the interconnectedness of life.
Heading 2 purpose.
Now we have a follow-up heading for purpose that kind of so this is going to be a little more sectioned off than the first document.
This essay assignment aims to deepen your understanding of a fundamental concept in biology, the interconnectedness of living organisms and their environments. Link start National Geographic on ecology link end for more info. By researching and synthesizing.
So notice that now we have link text for that link instead of it just saying the URL, which is much more easy to understand.
Information on a specific biological interaction, you will develop your critical thinking, research, and scientific writing skills. Explore the complex relationships that drive ecological processes and maintain biodiversity. Heading 2 task.
We have another heading for tasks, so you can see that this has been sort of marked up and sectioned off a little better. And regardless of whether you're blind or not, this can probably be beneficial to anyone to have these, just being able to see the different sections of the document here in a more structured format.
You will choose one of the following topics to explore in a well-researched and clearly written essay. 1. Symbiotic relationships. Investigate a specific example of symbiosis. mutualism, commensalism, or parasitism, between two different species.
Nice. And now we have an actual list. So it's not being merged with the other text. We have the text at the top of the list, and then each list item is its own point with numbered, and it doesn't run into the next. So we just finished reading point 1 on the list, and now we're going to go down to 2.
2-point food webs and energy flow. Analyze a specific food web within a particular ecosystem, E.G. A forest, a coral reef, a grassland. Heading 2 criteria for success.
And then we have another heading. To the rubric itself is sectioned off with a heading. So now we'll go down to the table.
4x4, table entered row 1 column 1 criteria. Row 2 content, row 3 organization, row 4 research.
And as you can see, the table has been made more accessible, but for the most part, the screen reader is picking it up in the same way. So you could understand that first document as a blind person using a screen reader. That first document, you could read and comprehend and parse that. This just makes it so much easier. Everything's been separated off with headings. Also, when you're referring back to this, you can immediately jump to those headings so that if you want to double check the rubric or double check what the task itself, you can jump around by the headings to do so. And it also just better sections off the document. Also, having that list as its own, each list item properly formatted, makes it a lot easier to read the one that you want to read and also not get potentially confused as to where one stops and another one begins. So I guess the takeaway here would be that yes, it is a unformatted Word document is readable, but it's much more usable and user-friendly when it does have accessibility markup, and not just for blind people, but for anyone.